Growers channel. I'm Jen.
And I'm David.
And we're happy to be here today with something a little bit different. We do have some videos on some previous playlists of cemetery/memorial arrangements. We call these particular saddles. Some call them tomb clips. Are there any other names that you know of?
I'm sure they have lots of names.
Lots of names, but those are the two names that we most commonly refer to: a saddle or a tomb clip. This is what we're talking about. And this piece of metal can be bent. It can be, sometimes we clip the ends off here so that it can be stuck down in the ground on top of a grave, like almost like a blanket or a...
Yeah, if you don't have, some of them just have like a marker. They don't have like an actual headstone.
Yeah.
So sometimes people want something larger, and we can still make this, and we'll cut the ends off and then it stakes down. But for a real headstone, most of the time, this is a little bit too wide. So really what you're going to do is you're going to bend these, and they've got these little rubbery plastic grips down here. And then when you slide it on, that's going to hold it in place when you go to place it.
So a lot of people, we sell the kits for the saddles. If you order a saddle/tomb clip, you're going to get this metal base, as well as it's already going to have a piece of styrofoam attached to it, hot glued to it. And then we're also going to take some little pins and pin the styrofoam from the bottom side to make it extra secure. And we will send you with some leather leaf as well in your kit for you to put in yourself, because that's something that we can't do ahead of time because we don't know what style or what design you're going for. I mean, we could, but it would be a shot in the dark as to whether or not it's what you want.
And really we sell, for the most part, two grades of flowers, one being kind of our high-end, and they're not always that expensive, but they're more meant for your home use. And then we have a slightly less expensive that's meant for outdoor. It's meant to stand up outside, and that's what we typically use for memorial flowers, because people are going to be changing those out, and the weather and the elements and things, they don't want to put a fortune into them. So there are two grades of flowers. If you are on the website and you are looking around, we do have a memorial section for those particular kind of things. And some of those things we'll use in wreaths and we'll use in other things. But just keep in mind, if you're buying those, the roses are not going to look as real as they will if you buy them from the other section of the website.
Right.
So that's just something to keep in mind. Like the fabric quality is not the same. But they do end up looking good because we're going to be mounding and we're going to be massing some of the flowers out, and they look really good outside.
Another question we always get is, will the flowers that you sell fade? And in the sunlight, all of the flowers are made from a plastic/fabric material, so that's going to fade pretty much in enough sunlight over time. It's going to fade.
The goal is to get at least a season out of them.
Yes.
So that's what we try to do. Like, we can't buy sunbrella fabric and put it on the flowers because that's going to make them so expensive nobody would ever buy them.
And heavy.
And and eventually everything fades. Like when we got our son's car, we got part of the car repainted, and then noticed that the rest of the car has actually faded just a little bit. So.
Yeah, so now it looks a little mismatched, but it's because it has original paint on it, and then he had some hail damage from a storm tree branch fell on the car, so we got it fixed up for him, and it's a couple of different colors of red now.
I mean, it's not drastic.
Terrible.
It's just like you can tell just a little faint difference. So, if car paint fades, flowers will eventually fade also.
Yes. But hopefully you will, like David said, get that season out of it, and you'll be ready to throw it away and do something new anyway. So today you are going to show everyone how to prepare a saddle for themselves if they choose to do that at home.
Right.
You can buy those pre-prepared from us. If you go to our website, we sell those under our kits section of the website. And then you're also going to show them how to add the leather leaf to the base, and how to green it is what we call it. And then you're going to actually add flowers in, right?
Right. So we'll do two kind of separate things. Is we'll just start with how you do the leather leaf and how you put that on there, and how you get everything secured for that, for you to choose your flowers, and then we're going to show you how to add the flowers as well.
All right.
And we'll
Sounds
do
great.
that without a steel pick machine so that you can do this at home. Really all you need is the glue. We do glue everything in, and we do send it with some wood picks just if you need to elongate some of the items.
That's right. I kind of forgot about the steel pick machine, but you can make these without that and just keep it simple.
They're more complicated and frustrating, and I don't use them very much anymore anyway because they're very sharp, and you never know when you cut yourself, and you didn't even realize that you did cut yourself until later. So we try to keep those out of people's hands as much
because it's
as
so
possible.
sharp
Yeah.
that you don't even know that it.
They're just very
Start blinking.
sharp little crimped pieces that go on your stems. And we've just gotten to the point where we don't use them very much anymore. So we won't have to for this video.
Okay, awesome. Well, without further ado, let's jump into it.
You will need wire cutters for this, and you don't have to have specific wire cutters. Most any will do, but you will need some at some point. But we will send you, if you buy the saddle kit from us, this is basically what we do to it, is we're going to dip these in glue. We're going to center that up, hammer that in so that it's nice and secure. But just to add an extra layer of security, when you get your leather fern, all of these stems are individual, but they come in this little plastic end. Just slide that off. You don't need that. And then these are longer stems. I've got some that are cut a little bit shorter, but what we do is we're going to cut some of the ends off of this, and I'm going to bend those in a U shape, and I'm going to stake those in just to add some extra security, make sure that this doesn't get loose or come off. And that way they're extra secure. So that's how your saddle is going to arrive, where it's nice and tight like that. And then we're going to start with each bundle has 12 individual stems in it. They're going to come like this, where they're outside. I don't know why they're facing outside, but they are. And then I usually flip mine upside down. This first batch of 12, we're not going to cut. We don't need to cut these. We're going to dip those in glue, and we're going to go in just maybe 2 to 3 inches, probably 2 inches. And then we're going to go around to the corners here. So the first one goes straight out. Second two go around to the end, and then we are going to bend these ever so slightly. You don't want like a hard angle on them. So I take and I bend them just a little bit in each section so that they curve more naturally. And then the easiest way to remember for me to show you is that I'm going to go directly in the middle here. So I've got my middle pieces, and same thing with those. We're going to go about 2 inches in, and then I'm going to do the same thing on the other side. I've got my long piece, and I'm going to put my 2 in the angled sections of the styrofoam. So if you can get to this stage, really the only thing you have to do is stick the last remaining 4 in these little gaps. So that to me is the easiest way to show you what you want to do. And if you get one that's like this, that's kind of spinning a little bit, it works out. Once you get the other pieces in there, they all tend to hold each other into place. So don't worry about that. I'm gonna fix that right here. Once we get these, I'll just lift that up. Okay, now it's not twisting because I've got it later on top of another leaf. Now we're gonna take another bundle, and I've already cut these a little bit shorter. Maybe I can, but I cut really the about 3 to 4 inches off of these. And then we're going to go in between where we just placed all the others. So everywhere that you have an in-between space of these stems that you put in first, that first layer, we're just going to put one in between. We want to go in. Make sure you get the glue in about a good inch at least. That's what we want. And we're just going to go around in between. So just as fast as you can do that, which, you know, I've done this a few hundred times, no big deal. I'm going to go in between, and I do bend them. Once I've glued them in, I give them a little bend because we don't want it sticking straight out. So the initial 2 layers should take you 2 dozen stems, 2 dozen individual stems to get you to this place, which really hides all of the metal underneath your clip. That's really the goal of that. We don't need to really do anything else at that point. Now we start on the flowers. We save the other stems of leather leaf that we send you till the end. We put flowers in, and then we add more leather leaf just to fill in. Now when it comes to flowers, we're going to start with our longest stems first. For this particular kind of a spring version, we're going to be using this yellow tweedia, and we're really just going to cut these 5 larger stems off. And then we're going to separate this. This stem has 1 branch that comes off out of the middle, and we're just going to cut in that V right there so that we end up with 1 longer branch and 1 shorter branch. We're going to do that to all 5. We have all 5 finished. We're going to take the longer one, these long pieces, and we're going to do 1 in the middle widthwise, 1 on the ends. And we're going to keep bending that down, almost mimicking what we did with the leather fern. And we're going to do these 4 sections. So we're just making a cross. We're making the tallest, longest pieces here. And then we're going to take our short ones and we're going to go a little bit higher, but in between these pieces. So, like this, in between this one and this one, we place 1. And feel free to kind of stab the styrofoam once you've got some glue on it. Just be sure that's where you want it before you commit, because it is a lot harder to get those stems out. Once that glue has just a few seconds in the styrofoam, you have to pull it out pretty hard, and let's try to avoid that. So if you're not sure and you want to kind of play around with where you think it needs to go before you glue, just kind of lay your stem up there, decide that's where you want it, then glue it into place. All right, so we've got our Tweedia bush in here. Let's see what else. I think I dropped something. Now we're going to go with our red peonies. Gonna kind of do this one. My dad's favorite combination for these was red, yellow, and purple. So we're gonna do his favorite combination in this particular instance. I'm gonna slide my table over just a little. And we're gonna go in between those two long Tweedia bushes stems that we used. And we're gonna bend those down, but we wanna bend the edges up just a little bit. So we want to bend this down like the leather leaf, but bend the edge just a little bit up so we get that center really facing out towards you as opposed to just down. And just cut those to length. We want to be just up from the edge of the leather leaf here. So again, if you have trouble deciding if it's the right length, you know, look at it first, cut, kind of decide, well, once I get an inch into that, is that going to be the right length? And then stick it in there and bend the edge up. Okay, we've got that. And now, when you get the first section in, because it's almost like a system, a grid, a pattern, it makes it a lot easier. So we're going to go in between the two we just did, and we're just going to raise the layer up because we want to make it very three-dimensional. We don't want it to be flat at all. So those two are going to go in between, and then we've got a spot right here, but instead of going directly in between these two yellow pieces, we're going to go just to the side. I'm going to cut this just a little bit shorter, right in here. So we're at the same height as this piece. We're just going to be placing these a little off center because we really ended up with a little bit of a gap right here. And we've still got some other things to add, so don't be concerned if you still feel like you have, if you feel like you have too much of a gap. And we're doing this all the way around. I know some of you may feel like you need to turn this. I know a lot of people do when they're making these. They just kind of lift up and turn this around. I've done it so many times that I can kind of do it with either side facing me. It doesn't really matter to me. Okay, now since it's kind of a spring mix, we also have our buttercups that I'm going to be using. Daffodils, buttercups, jonquils, whatever you prefer to call them. They're going to look nice and springy in this arrangement. And some of your stems may be a little long. You can cut those to the desired length. And we're just going to go in between some of our red here. So once we get that one in, we're going to do one on the other side here. And bend that back out. And then we'll go in between those two right here. So we can keep kind of following that pattern. Again, once you get the first couple of layers of florals in here, it gets a lot easier. We'll just keep going around. So this one's low, this one's high. This one's low, so this one's high. We don't want to keep them all the same height. We want to alternate quite a bit just to keep it very interesting and not look too patterned too much like a grid, even though that's really what we're doing. So we're going to stick one up on the back side to go opposite of this one. And then we'll stick one lower next to the peonies. make sure they're spaced pretty decent apart from each other. Adjust as needed. Almost done with this layer. Okay, we've got that layer done. I dropped one. We've got 4 buttercups left. We're going to be putting those on opposite sides of each other because we've got 4. We don't want to make them too symmetrical, too stacked on top of each other because we're starting to run out of a little bit of room here. Now, we've got those in. We're getting pretty close. I'm going to add a little bit more red, but before we do that, we're going to add our purple. And before we add our purple, I like to fill in a little bit of my leather fern first, just because once I add the lilies, they've got such a large floral head on them that it gets harder to get in here to the middle. So really for this, we're just going to go further in to where the florals are, more toward the middle on top of the styrofoam, because now the original pieces of leather fern we put in are really hiding the lower parts of the styrofoam and the metal that we're using as a frame. This is hiding the top layer of the styrofoam and the things that you don't want to be able to see. So sometimes you may need to cut these a little bit shorter. You really only need about 1 inch that can go inside. That's enough to make it decently secured once you get the glue on there. And we're not going to finish out right this second with the leather fern. This is one of the few times that I will not use all of one item, and I will come back to it a few times just because that tends to be the easiest way to me, especially if you're just learning. And we do want to bend that down. We don't want to come in and just stick everything, straight like that. Eventually, we're going to go in, here, but we want to bend that over just to hide. But we've got it really pretty close to where I think we need it for the addition of the lilies. I'm going to add one more, I think, to the front here. And then I will show you kind of what that looks like all the way around. And then I will show you, like right here, I see a little bit too much styrofoam, more than I want to see. So I will take another piece of leather fern, go right above that, because you want the leaves to kind of fall into that space that you're trying to hide. And then I'm going to place my fern, and that really hides that spot. So anywhere you feel like you see that, like I've got a spot here, and you can continue to do that, but we're going to add I think for me, I'm going to add the lilies first, rather than trying to hide everything at this moment, because if you hide absolutely everything right now, it's hard to find that spot for the styrofoam for the stems to go in, and that might make it a little too difficult. You can still do it, it's just more challenging. Okay, so lilies, really pretty easy. We're going to start with, one kind of low right here. we're really just kind of going in between some of the florals that we've already placed. And we want to do these at different heights. We've got quite a few lilies here to work with. I didn't get that one far enough in, so redo it. We just want to make sure that they're not all the same height. So we're going to do, 2 different layers. That really helps them not look so uniform. And we have roughly 15 stems. We have 3 bushes, 5, and that's going to hide a lot of our space here. So I wouldn't be too concerned about did you have enough of that particular item, because I think you will have plenty to work with the lilies in particular. And this is the part where it's not as much of a pattern of the grid. We're just really making sure we've got a lot of our spaces filled that we had left alone. Show you where I'm placing those if we're getting a little too tall for me to reach around completely. So now we've got our purple added in. I've still got a couple of small spots that I need something. We're going to add just a little bit more red, especially up here in the middle and on some of the corners hanging down. I've got a red daisy bush, kind of it's going to match. And the great thing about the red daisy bush is it's got that yellow center. So it still works really well with our yellow flowers also. And these have good stems where you can just jab those in there. And we get to fill in some of those spots that we missed with the purple and kind of break the purple up. And that's a great little filler that you can use for that purpose. And here it's less important about making sure you got it exactly symmetrical. This part of it's more about just making sure you fill in well those spots that you felt like you needed some. So just look around for any spots that you really feel like you could add something, or you can see too far down into your arrangement here. And we're going to add so that you can't do that. That's really the kind of goal of what we're doing there. And then I'll show you more what it looks like all the way around. We want our colors to be well balanced, equal amounts on both sides. Don't put all your purple over here and not enough over there. And once you're at this stage, we really just need a few more pieces of leather fern toward the middle. And I just bend those down a little bit less so that they really hide that in-between space. But we really don't need a whole lot extra. Just anywhere where you feel like you see, I've still got a little spot here, I see some styrofoam. We don't want to see any of that bright green styrofoam. That's one of the goals that we're trying to achieve here. Okay. And we are finished. Now you would be able to go out and bend these metal pieces in and attach that and be ready to go.